I'm with Dane Gregory from Interlink Supply. Dane, how are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I always like having you on because I like talking about maintenance, and it's something that I understand marginally. And it seems to me the attitudes towards carpet, both residentially and commercially, although probably more so in residential than in commercial, people seem to buy into the concept, but they don't really do it. Is that your view?
I agree with that. I think that there are certain issues when it comes to residential carpet that people just kind of look past it and think of it as anything else that they might own, where if their image isn't going to suffer because their carpet has some spots or some soils in it, I don't think they really get that concerned about it. But at the same time, on the commercial side, you do have the issue of customers coming in and other people seeing that material and want to make sure that the fabric on the floor looks reasonably clean in most cases.
I get the idea that now I want to talk about both commercial and residential, but on the residential side, it's my observation that most women feel things have to be clean. If a bathroom that they go in a retail store isn't clean, they don't want to go into that store. I feel most of them probably feel pretty strongly about having things in their home be clean, including carpet and other floor coverings. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. I think that's a huge issue for the people who are there. I don't think it's the women who are the only people who are cleaning it, but I think that they want to be in a clean environment, and I think that's a big part of the maintenance industry as a whole, is that we deal with a female client residentially 99 out of 100 times.
Yeah. So is there a breakdown somewhere between, gosh, I want everything to be clean all the time, and then actually doing it? Is there some sort of a breakdown, do you think, with most consumers?
Well, I think it becomes the size of the problem. You know, you're dealing with fabric on the floor, and they've got fabric in their laundry, but it's different. They can put their clothing into a laundry machine or a washing machine and have it take care of it pretty much automatically. But the carpet has a different feel to it. It's obviously a much tougher fabric system than what they're dealing with on their clothing. And so you've got, it's hard to get evaporation to take place on a piece of carpet when you got something sticky that's fallen onto it, or you've got oils from traffic coming in from outdoors or coming from the kitchen, whatever. And it gets overwhelming. They're not really sure how. And we think it's important that as they're purchasing that material, that at least they get some rudimentary information about maintaining that carpet so that you get some life out of it. You get the longevity that you're looking for.
Yeah.
Many people want to keep it for 20 or 25 years, and the way it's maintained is just not practical to have it that long.
Well, that's really what I was getting at, and it seems like so often, I can remember back 20, 25 years ago, talking about how carpet, for example, can withstand dirt where you can't see it. It's almost people have been led to believe that it's sort of bulletproof. In fact, I've even heard that term used over the years, that maybe it doesn't need to be cleaned.
Well, when stain-resistant nylon first came out, that was certainly the case. People felt that they had bought, I heard one person term it to me, Formica pile, like a countertop, and that certainly wasn't true. You're still dealing with nylon. Better quality nylon, certainly. All the dye sites filled, great. The Kool-Aid's got no place to go. But you're still dealing with a fabric yarn system on the floor that's going to obtain soils and have to be released. The problem that they run into is they don't have a good way to do that. Vacuum cleaners are great. So you look at a residential home and you ask people, how often they actually vacuum. Well, you'll hear everything from every day to once a week or maybe twice a week or every other week or whatever it is. But we know if that carpet's in an apartment building, they vacuumed it twice. Once when they moved in and once when they moved out, which is typical. A lot of people who live in apartments don't even have a vacuum cleaner. So you've got this tremendous buildup of dry soil, combining that with any cooking oils, body oils, animal oils, all those other things, binding those dry soils to that fiber, it has to be released. Now we're talking about a deep cleaning system, which is has a lot of water in the system, and so there's going to be an extended drying time, and B, you've got to make sure that that particular carpet cleaning professional has some certifications and knows what they're doing. Because I think, one of the taglines that you've helped us with on your show is, it's not rocket science, but you got to know what you're doing, and that becomes the problem where, you can go into a grocery store and rent a machine, but that may not be the best way to approach that particular soil level.
You just made me think about the carpets in the home where I lived when I went to school. And you said people vacuum when they moved in and when they moved out. I don't think we even did that. I wonder how many places actually do that. Probably a lot.
One of the things in my career that I spent a lot of time doing was working in the apartment multifamily arena, and we saw a lot of that where, they'd put a couch over the top of the stain or the tear or whatever it happened to be so that you didn't notice it, but the carpets were heavily soiled. And the interesting thing about it was the carpets really held up well to that level of traffic and that level of soiling, but every once in a while you got to clean that out. You got to remove that debris, and we think that a maintenance plan is better than a cleaning plan. A maintenance plan is degrees, a vacuuming is for a couple of days worth of soil, a pile lifter is for maybe several days worth of soil, an interim maintenance function would be for 15 to 30 days worth of soil, depending on what type of soil that is and where that soil came from.
You talked about dry soil and you talked about oily soil. I suspect with a vacuum cleaner you can get dry soil out, so theoretically, if you vacuum every day or twice a day or whatever it took, you would never have to have a deep cleaning because there would be no dirt to clean. Would that be correct?
I'm going to respectfully disagree with that assessment, only because it depends on the style of carpet that you're dealing with also. If you have a sparsely populated yarn system with a lot of spaces, you're going to get soils that are going to fall all the way down to the primary backing, which are going to be difficult for most vacuum cleaners to reach. You've got a cord going into the wall that's running a beater bar and a vacuum motor. You might not have enough lock or airflow to lift that heavier mineral-based soil up out of the carpet, especially if it's bound by some oils. So even if it's simply dry soil issues, you've got that. In a commercial good, you've got maybe lower face weights but higher density numbers, and so your yarn system is much closer together. And now you're going to have the larger particles that have worked their way down through the higher amounts of foot traffic.
I've got you.
And so you've got the challenge is getting it from the primary backing up. And a vacuum cleaner sometimes won't reach all the way down there and get that.
Is it conceivable that there is a vacuum cleaner out there that would get that dirt that you described out?
Not one that I've seen that goes all the way, and again, it's very susceptible to the type of carpet you're working on, but I'm sure there's a match where there's a vacuum cleaner and a carpet style that would get 99 to 100% of that.
I guess what I was getting at is everybody says they want clean carpets and clean everything, I suppose. And there are ways to come very close to doing that, and it would almost be a good idea for a floor covering retail salesperson to go into that. I know if I were a salesperson and I were talking about the downside of a product you just spent a lot of money for, maybe you're going to jeopardize the sale, and I can understand how somebody would feel like that. But that would be the opportune time to talk about maintenance, and not only talk about it, but talk about the tools that they would need to be able to actually do that.
Well, sure. I mean, the automotive industry learned that many years ago. Most of the old car showrooms were just that. They were showrooms where they would tell you that their automobile didn't need maintenance, and that's why they didn't have a maintenance a plant or a shop. Now, I think they're making more money in the repair shop than they are on the showroom floor. So the idea is the same. You have to maintain the product that you've purchased. The best time to start talking to the client is about that and showing them different ways they can go about doing that. There's a lot of different tools you can use, and deep cleaning is just one of those. We're trying to get people, especially on the commercial side of the industry, to understand that there's a function that can be done almost every day on a commercial carpet that will remove soil. And whether it's vacuuming or pile lifting or focusing near the entry points or whatever that is, a residential carpet just has a different type of soil in it, and you've got different styles. So you have to match up your maintenance program based on that. And the lighter colors, obviously, you can see the soil a little more readily than you can in some commercial goods, which the people have thought about patterning and they've thought about coloration and things like that to try to hide and minimize any amounts of soil. Time to